A lesson for those sworn to serve the public that if you're a good law enforcement officer, the FBI will always stand with you. But for those corrupt individuals who abuse their office, we will come for you.
We're learning more about those indicted and what the FBI is calling a drug trafficking conspiracy. Hello, I'm Stephanie Skurlock. Greg Hurst is off tonight. The indictments include more than a dozen Mississippi law enforcement officers accused of taking bribes while helping criminals. WREG's Brian Ditlake has been following the story and has the latest.
We're here today to talk about some incredibly serious allegations that mark it's just a monumental betrayal of public trust.
Clay Joyner announcing the indictment of 14 Mississippi law enforcement officers and 6 others. 2 of those indicted sitting sheriffs Milton Gaston of Washington County and Bruce Williams of Humphreys County, all defendants facing federal drug and gun charges.
I think you could probably characterize it as a sting, but again, the original complaints that began the investigation were from the sting.
Facing federal Gaston of Washington County and Bruce Williams others. 2 of those indicted sitting sheriffs Milton Gaston of Washington County and Bruce Williams of Humphreys County, all defendants facing federal drug and gun charges.
I think you could probably characterize it as a sting, but again, the original complaints that began the investigation were from drug dealers.
Drug dealers who officials say complained about having to pay bribes. The highest, more than $30,000, according to investigators. The Mississippi officers mentioned in the indictment promised to provide safe passage of narcotics throughout the Mississippi Delta region. Now, while 14 of the defendants were local law enforcement officers in Mississippi, 6 others were indicted as well. WRG digging deeper found out that those arrested were in Shelby County as well as northern Mississippi. Documents show those 6 civilians committed crimes in Greenville, Mississippi. However, all had addresses in Memphis, South Haven, and Horn Lake. Investigators identified the group as the investigation expanded.
Well, that's what we internally refer to as the Memphis crew, because when those drugs got to the state line, those folks were recruited by someone who's already in the conspiracy.
For the officers and sheriffs who were being investigated, were they suspended at any time during this investigation?
Essentially, no, we did not make an approach to have them suspended because that would have absolutely identified the fact that an investigation was taking place.
Investigators say they hope these arrests turn into convictions so justice can be served.
What the public needs to see, I think what all of us would want to see, whenever you have any kind of corruption that we're dealing with, is accountability. And that's what the next step is delivering accountability.
In Oxford, Mississippi, Brian Ditlake for your news leader, WREG.
That's crazy, y'all. That is crazy. What we about to do is hit this intro.
I want to be the best, simple and plain. That's why I play the game. To be the best, you have to win. And that's what drives me.
He's the best player in the game. It's just that simple.
Welcome back to the channel, We the People TV. I need y'all to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Man, this is a crazy one. And I'm trying to figure out what the feds got going on, because they cleaning house. It's like they doing a sweep on everybody. They doing a sweep on everybody. But y'all tuning in, like, share, and subscribe to this channel. I appreciate that. But let's get into it.
I am especially grateful and honored that we have the Deputy Director of the FBI, Andrew Bailey, is here with us today. We have the Special Agent in charge of the Jackson Field Division, Robert Eichhoff, here as well. And Robert Mims, who apparently doesn't want to be in the frame, but that's fine. He's our AUSA who's actually prosecuting this case. He's the lead prosecutor on the case. And if y'all just bear with us, we have a lot of information to get to you. And at the end of that, we're going to take a few questions, so don't worry. But we're here today to talk about some incredibly serious allegations that mark it's just a monumental betrayal of public trust, is what we're talking about here today. We're here today to announce the indictment and arrest of 20 individuals, most of them law enforcement officers in the Mississippi Delta region. The indictments generally allege the taking of bribes to attempt to aid and abet drug trafficking, as well as associated crimes. The first indictment that I'll talk about involves a conspiracy whereby law enforcement officers and their accomplices are alleged to have agreed to provide safe passage for illegal narcotics and drug proceeds to the Mississippi Delta region.
Wow.
And ultimately on the last of those runs into Memphis itself. And they did this in return for bribe payments for money. They are also indicted for related firearms offenses and, of course, individual counts related to specific runs throughout the Mississippi Delta. Indicted in this conspiracy are the following individuals, and when I'm giving you this list of places of employment, a lot of them are still employed or were up to today in those places.
Wow.
But
so some of these people were still employed, but they couldn't fire them because then they'd know something is up, or put them on desk duty. They'd know something is up. That's crazy.
the places I'm referring to where they're employed, that's really during the times that are relevant to the charges in their indictment. So indicted in this particular conspiracy were Brandon Addison, who's a Mississippi law enforcement officer employed by the Hollandale Police Department and the Humphreys County Sheriff's Office at times relevant to the indictment. Javari Howard, a Mississippi law enforcement officer employed by the Metcalf Police Department and later, during the course of the investigation, the Hollandale Police Department. Milton Gaston, the elected sheriff of Washington County, Mississippi. True Ron Grayson, who was employed by the Humphreys County Sheriff's Office. Bruce Williams, who was the elected, or is at the moment, the elected sheriff of Humphreys County, Mississippi. Sean Williams, who was employed by the Yazoo City Police Department. Dexter Franklin, who was employed by the Washington County Sheriff's Office.
And y'all hear all these names and they sound like black people because they are black folks. Stupid. People do anything for money. See, that money was looking good. Ain't no telling how much they was paying them. They could have been giving them $10,000 every rip just to bring that shit in, man. Crazy. I know it was more than that, though.
Who was employed by the Bolivar County Sheriff's Office. Now, I want to take note on this particular name. When you see the indictments themselves, you're going to have 22 names. I'm about to explain why we're telling you 20 people are now charged. And so this next individual who appears in the indictment, I want to make this very clear. Based on information obtained today, the charges against Amber Holmes have been dismissed. She's no longer charged in this case and is no longer implicated in any wrongdoing related to this investigation.
Oh, so
The remaining co-defendants on that first indictment, the large one, are Marcus.
But I want y'all to get a real good look at this guy right here, the director of the FBI. We didn't see this man in the last week twice. Well, I have, but it's like, it's crazy. Yeah, they sweeping and cleaning up house. Y'all better start paying attention. Whoever out here doing some sneaky, shady shit, yeah, y'all better be paying attention.
Nolan, Hassan Roach, Jeremy Salas, Torio Chaz Wiseman, Pierre Lakes, and Derek Wallace. The first four of those individuals I named escorted alleged drugs on runs on a run to Memphis. And likewise, the last two persons I named, Mr. Lakes and Mr. Wallace joined the conspiracy on a trip that was taken by a number of the co-conspirators to Miami.
Wow. Wait a minute. This fool went on a
separate indictment.
Hold on.
Charges.
He went on a trip with them to get the shit? That's what he just said?
The conspiracy that was taken by Wallace joined the conspiracy on a trip that was taken by a number of the co-conspirators to Miami, Florida. A separate indictment charges a conspiracy as follows. It's essentially the attempt to aid and abet the transport and distribution of illegal narcotics in return for bribes, related offenses regarding the carrying of firearms while doing that, and that the crux of that indictment was the transport of what the defendants thought were 25 kilograms of cocaine through the Mississippi Delta. And those defendants are Mario Sanford, who is employed at the Greenwood Police Department, Marvin Flowers, who is employed at the Sunflower County Sheriff's Department. And again, this is the second of those names I mentioned to you. You'll see in an indictment the name Taquana Rucker. And again, based on information obtained today, the charges against Ms. Rucker have been dismissed. She's no longer charged in this case and is no longer implicated in any wrongdoing in this investigation.
Damn.
A further indictment charges Martavius Moore, who's a police officer in Greenville, Mississippi, with aiding and abetting the transport of what he thought was 25 kilograms of cocaine and carrying a firearm, of course, during that.
So everybody was playing a part in this. They was trying to keep this seal so tight, but you can't when you got multiple people that's able to talk.
Marquavius Bankhead was a patrolman with the Mississippi Highway Patrol.
Now, man, y'all, the female they just spoke of and said that as of today, we have no reason to believe she has anything to do with this. She the one told. She the one told she better get her some protection. That's crazy work. That's crazy.
And he has been indicted, and he's no longer with the Highway Patrol. He has recently resigned from the Highway Patrol. He was indicted for, again, aiding and abetting the transport of 25 kilograms of cocaine, or what he thought was that. Chaka Gaines with the Greenville Police Department was again charged with attempting to aid and abet the transportation of narcotics, essentially to traffic drugs through the Delta, and was likewise charged with a firearm offense related to that. DeQuarian Smith with the Humphreys County Sheriff's Department and the Isola Police Department was likewise charged with conspiracy to aid and abet the possession, transportation, and distribution of illegal narcotics. Finally, and this is always important to say at one of these, I'd remind everybody present that an indictment is just that, it's an allegation. That indictment, those allegations have to be proven in a court of law. Everybody in this country operates under the presumption of innocence, and nothing's changed about that. That being said, there's an 18th century philosopher, writer, you name it, he did a lot, named Edmund Burke, and there's a quote that is often associated with him. And that is that the only thing necessary for evil to flourish is for good men to do nothing. And I am before you today profusely thanking the good men of the FBI, because they'll tell you a little bit more about the investigation itself, but this was a years-long investigation. This wasn't anything that happened overnight. They invested a lot of time, a lot of resources into conducting a very thorough investigation that continues today. And I cannot thank them enough. The work put in by Assistant United States Attorney Robert Mims has been phenomenal. And I just appreciate the fact that good men and good women are standing in that breach to try to restore confidence in our law enforcement agencies in Mississippi. And at this time, I'm very much honored to invite Deputy Director Andrew Bailey to make a few comments.
Good afternoon, FBI Deputy Director Andrew Bailey. I am present here today to support the mission of the Federal Bureau of Investigation and to enhance the cooperation and coordination with our proud partners at the United States Attorney's Office. I want to emphasize that my presence is to underline the importance and the magnitude of this case. This operation and these indictments are a success, but they point to a troubling reality. We're talking about 14 current or former law enforcement officers, 6 co-conspirators who are alleged to have sold out the public, promoted crimes that they should have been investigating and stopped, and instead of working to stem the flow of dangerous controlled substances, the evidence will show they took bribes to facilitate the distribution of controlled substances. They betrayed the trust that the public placed in them, disgraced the badge, and undermined the hard work of good law enforcement officers across this state and across the region. This corruption permeated all levels. It extended across multiple counties and multiple jurisdictions in the state of Mississippi and beyond. But the Department of Justice and its subcomponent, the FBI, will not allow the wrongdoing and wrongdoers to get away with it.
For them to be able to run that across multiple counties, like I said, it was a lot of people that had their hands involved in it. These guys that they showed, they not the head motherfuckers in charge. It's some people that's above them that's in charge of this whole operation.
We will stop these kinds of disgraceful and shameful abuses of public office, and will prove that we will not tolerate corruption amongst America's criminal justice system. I want to acknowledge the brave men and women of the FBI Jackson Field Office and the incredible work they did leading this multi-year complex investigation. I want to thank members of the SWAT and HRT teams for their professionalism in apprehending the suspects, these corrupt officers, without incident. I want to thank our state and local partners for supporting this team effort. I want to thank the Criminal Investigation Division's Public Corruption Unit for leading these efforts. I want to thank the United States Attorney, Clay Joyner, for his partnership in this endeavor, and Attorney General Bondi and the entire DOJ for their leadership and guidance in these matters. This administration has worked tirelessly to support the FBI's work across the country, and we are grateful. As to the broader significance, public corruption is a crime against the entire community, against all citizens, and against the rule of law itself. It leads to the loss of trust in law enforcement and erodes the justice system, thereby endangering citizens. Mississippi communities deserve better. The American public deserves better.
Yeah, okay.
Let this be a lesson for those sworn to serve the public that if you're a good law enforcement officer,
They say all this, but they the ones helping them bring this shit over here. They didn't do this on their own. They didn't. Hit that like button.
the FBI will always stand with you. But for those corrupt individuals who abuse their office, we will come for you and hold you accountable. To all Americans listening, the FBI will never stop protecting from these kinds of abuses of authority. Thank you for being here today, and I'd like to turn it over to the head of the Jackson Field Office, SAC Eichhoff.
It's crazy.
Robert Eichhoff, Special Agent in Charge, FBI here in Mississippi. FBI Jackson is proud to announce multi-year investigation that exemplifies the FBI's dedication to restoring the public's trust. As alleged in the indictments, this investigation began after FBI Jackson received information on allegations of systemic law enforcement corruption that crossed multiple counties in the Delta of Mississippi.
That's crazy.
These corrupt law enforcement officers provided protection to those whom they believed were drug traffickers in exchange for bribe payments. Each of the law enforcement officers arrested had taken an oath to protect and serve their respective communities, an oath that they violated. The positions of these arrested officers range from patrol officers up to police chiefs and sheriffs. This type of corruption.
They tried to keep that sealed tight, but you had too many heads. Somebody was going to get to talking.
Strikes at the heart of community. It erodes public confidence and undermines the strength of law enforcement integrity. Earlier this month, the FBI responded to the mass killing in Leland, Mississippi. During many interviews, we learned of the community's distrust of select law enforcement officers due to the concerns of corruption. Law enforcement is only effective when the community they protect can trust that law enforcement officers are honestly serving the community's interests. Mississippians deserve and rightfully expect officers to obey their oath.
That's crazy.
The FBI is committed to working in partnership with the United States Attorney's Office to investigate officers who violate the oath, the law, and the public's trust. We would not be here today if it was not for the dedication of the men and women of the FBI, and in particular the case team that have devoted years focused on bringing trust, renewing trust, restoring trust of law enforcement, specifically within the Delta region. Their commitment is born out of our mission, which is to protect the American people and uphold the Constitution. We do our work with rigor, and we do it with a mindfulness of doing the right thing the right way. They did that. I want to thank the United States Attorney's Office, and specifically noting the Acting United States Attorney Clay Joyner and Robert Mims for the work that they have done over the years, working shoulder to shoulder with us on this investigation. And for the United States Marshal Service for their support in this extraordinary arrest operation today.
Crazy.
I want to thank Deputy Director Bailey for his attendance. It goes to show the commitment at all levels of the FBI to ensure that we are holding to account all public officials, but especially law enforcement officers. There's a trust prescribed to those who wear a badge.
And people saying Trump is wrong. They hate Trump. Trump is this, Trump is that. We can clearly see Trump has the FBI doing their job. They cleaning up house. It ain't just the NBA. It ain't just the gambling scams and all that. They cleaning up house all over. So people better get ready. So if you're doing something dirty, if they ain't looking at you now, they will be looking at you sooner or later. This is crazy. But let's get into Mississippi, though. Let me show y'all some things. Hopefully y'all still here. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Mississippi just been, I don't know.
It's been revealed 215 bodies were buried in unmarked graves behind a state jail. Families of the dead reportedly had no idea until last month. Some of them, those grave sites were only labeled by a number and a metal rod.
When we first went to that site, buzzards were flying overhead. And we were trying to figure out, why are the buzzards flying overhead? But it's because they're putting them in shallow graves, and the only thing that they're putting them in is a body bag without embalming the bodies. So the stench from the bodies are drawing buzzards that...
This started with Dexter Wade's case. He was an individual who was hit by a police officer, and his family thought he was simply missing, but he was dead and buried, and no one notified them.
He had identification on him, Isaiah, and the medical examiner gave it to the lead detective, who said he called, didn't get an answer, and they didn't worry about doing anything else. They thought that we were playing the race card. We have white clients as well. There were white people that were buried the same way, Isaiah, and any human being that's buried the way that they're burying these individuals, it says a lot about the people that's doing this criminal. Mississippi is Mississippi. It's an ugly Mississippi.
It's been revealed 215 bodies were buried in unmarked graves behind a state.
That's crazy, man. You heard what that man said. Mississippi is Mississippi, but it's ugly Mississippi. That's crazy.
215 dead bodies were buried behind a jail in Mississippi.
What?
And they were just recently discovered.
Behind the jail?
Yes, and all of these bodies were just discovered, bro. The bodies were actually discovered towards, I think, the end of 2024 because this guy named Dexter Wade, his mother, made a missing person report for her son. It was because she ends up finding out the truth of what actually happens to her son. It was that a police officer was driving his police cruiser and struck bro with his car.
Whoa.
And killed him on impact. So then the cop wanted to cover this up, took his body, buried it behind this jail so they would get no repercussions.
No way, bro.
That one lady pretty much opened this whole case wide open.
Damn.
After that, yeah. So
Wait, so when they buried Dexter,
yeah,
was there already bodies buried back there?
There was already bodies buried.
So it was already a thing.
It was already a thing for months, bro. Damn near, I think years. These people were using
That's
this
crazy.
piece of land as like a burial ground or a hiding place for all of these bodies of people that could have gotten them caught up, in trouble, things like that.
Damn.
Yeah, and after like.
But the thing is, they didn't. My thing is, they didn't think that after a while somebody was gonna catch on to that. They didn't think after a while. Like, that's crazy. I don't know. It's corrupt out here. But it just shows you what's really going on in Mississippi, and it's been going on since forever. This ain't nothing new.
I said Dexter Wade's mother came out, a lot of people started coming forward. They wanted to know what happened to their sibling or their mom or their dad or whoever the hell it was. And they found out that they were buried back there as well. Hella people started coming forward. Some of their family members thought they went to prison. Some of them thought that they just ran away because the police didn't tell them anything, that these people were even buried back there. The county out there, they're going to charge the families if they want to give their family member a proper burial.
Yo, that's insane, bro.
They bogus for that.
The gruesome discovery.
They bogus for that. But that Dexter Wade story was crazy, though. Give me 1 second, John. Yeah, that Dexter Wade story was crazy.
His girlfriend, that his head was just hurting. His head was hurting, that the police had jumped on him. That Anthony Fox had jumped on him down there in Washington Edition. That's what they call it, Washington Edition on the west side. So at that time, she went down the hall to get something for him to take. And she said when she got back, he was virgin. She called me. I said, call the ambulance. So by the time the ambulance came, they were rushing him to the hospital. By the time I got up there, they was rushing him into surgery. So he stayed in the surgery for 2 days. 2 days later, he died. And what he died was from blunt force trauma to the head, homicide. March 5th, 2023. That's like 6 blocks from my house, that freeway. Like 6 blocks from my house. So Dexter did not return. Dexter left home on March 5th. I did not hear from him. So about 3 days, my sister-in-law called me and said, it's unusual for Dexter to be gone this long. So I said, well, okay, we'll give him a few more days. March the 14th, I called Jackson Police Department and filed a missing person report. They told me to send them Dexter's picture, his name, and all his information. They got it. They signed me an investigator. The investigator called me and said he would be the one helping me with Dexter case. So as I was hearing things, I was telling the detective. So I asked them, I said, have y'all checked the morgue? Have y'all checked the hospital? They said, well, the morgue, he's not in the morgue. But the hospital, we can't go to the hospital because that's a protocol for them.
All right. What the hell? What they mean they can't go to the hospital? Nah, that's crazy, but I don't know, man. This is deep. Just show you what's going on in Jackson, Mississippi, and not just Mississippi. I mean, Jackson, Mississippi. All parts and counties of Mississippi is corrupt. If you don't think so, pay attention.
Peace and blessings. All praises to the Most High. The lady that you just heard is Miss Betterstein Wade. Miss Wade is the mother of Dexter Wade and also the sister of George Robinson. Now, Dexter Wade was the young man who was hit by a Jackson, Mississippi police officer and buried in a pauper's grave until his mother kept investigating and finally turned up his body. And he was hit by an off-duty police officer in 2023. Her brother, George Robinson, was the victim of police brutality, as you heard her say, blunt force trauma to the head, and was killed by this guy, Anthony Fox.
Wow.
And Anthony Fox was convicted but later released. So I am going to let her tell both.
Why the hell was he released? He looked familiar too. That nigga looked familiar.
Stories. First of her brother, George Robinson, whom you see on the screen. And next of that of her son, Dexter Wade. But first, let me play this news article that gives you sort of a backstory on what really happened to George Robinson.
Today, after this verdict was handed down, even Fox was in disbelief himself and kept expressing that he's innocent and did nothing wrong. Tonight, in an exclusive interview, one of Fox's attorneys maintains his innocence.
We, the jury, find the defendant Anthony Fox guilty of culpable negligence manslaughter.
This is the verdict issued by 12 jurors saying Anthony Fox is responsible for killing 62-year-old George Robinson. Emotions were so high following that decision that one person had to be led out of the courthouse by deputies. It's a verdict that has Fox's attorney at a loss for words.
We're not pleased with the verdict. We don't feel like the state proved beyond a reasonable doubt that Officer Fox did anything wrong, and we will be appealing.
This all dates back to January of 2019, when Robinson died after receiving multiple blunt injuries to the head. Two other former Jackson police officers, Lincoln Lampley and Desmond Barney, were also charged and later cleared of murder charges in Robinson's death in May of 2021.
We never understood why he was put into this courtroom to begin with. Usually when you have three defendants similarly situated like that, they go to the same court. We don't know why that happened, but we know the other two were found not guilty, actually acquitted by the judge with lack of evidence. We don't know how this happened, honestly. I have no clue.
This is video of the scene from 2019. According to investigators, police approached Robinson while they were in the area looking for a murder suspect. All three men were accused of removing Robinson from his vehicle, body slamming him on his head, as well as striking and kicking him multiple times in the head and chest. However, Fox's attorney, Francis Springer, is adamant that his client did not commit a crime. Francis moved from his vehicle for a murder suspect. All three men were accused of removing Robinson from his vehicle, body slamming him on his head, as well as striking and kicking him multiple times in the head and chest. However, Fox's attorney, Francis Springer, is adamant that his client did not commit a crime.
Jurors obviously didn't understand what happened.
What happened? Nigga, we heard what happened. They whooped his ass. Fuck whooping his ass. They beat his ass. That's not, man. I don't know what to say about this. This shit is sad because just imagine a lot of stories that's getting covered up down there. A lot of stories that's getting covered up amongst all those counties in Mississippi.
And I don't know why. They have a job to do, and I understand that, and I respect that, but I definitely disagree with the jury.
Now, again, Springer says they will appeal today's decision. Fox will be back in the courtroom in the next 2 weeks for sentencing. We've reached out to the district attorney's office for a comment following today's verdict. At this time, we are still waiting to hear back. Quentin Smith, 3 on your side.
Okay, so there you have the news clip telling you and explaining what happened. But now I'm going to let Betterstein Wade, George Robinson's sister, tell you exactly what happened from that night of the incident, as well as the court case and the subsequent overturning of Anthony Fox's conviction. All right, peace and blessings. I am here with Betterstein Wade, and she is the sister and also the mother of 2 black men who suffered their demise at the hands of police violence. So thank you for allowing me to get your story to the audience, Ms. Wade. And this happened in Mississippi, correct?
Yes.
Well, what city? What city?
Jackson, Mississippi.
Okay, Jackson, Mississippi is the capital. So which incident happens first?
My brother George Robinson.
Okay, George Robinson, and give us a little bit about the situation with your brother. What year did it happen?
It was happened in 2019 on January 13th, my birthday, never forget.
Damn, so every time her birthday come up, she gotta you know what I'm saying? Remember that shit. And both of these incidents happened in Jackson, Mississippi. So just imagine what's happening across all the other counties. All that shit getting covered up. A lot of those people down there can't say nothing because if they do say something, they might get like, man, they might come after them. I hate to say that.
My brother was getting ready to have a little.
No reason.
He had a stroke. Well, I'm gonna go back. He had a stroke about 2 weeks before, and he hadn't been out the house or anything in about 2 or 3 weeks. and he was gonna have a little get together at his house where he actually lived at. But he was at my mom's house trying to, get himself back together from having a stroke. So he was like having a little slightness in his right side that he slurred where he had to drag his foot and couldn't move it too good. So they was gonna give him a little bitty get together barbecue, because he had came back to his home. So he went to the store, and at the time he was pulling back up, the NBI men was out there looking for a boy that had killed a pastor earlier that morning, and they was out there because they heard that he was on Jones Street at the time in Jackson, Mississippi. So my brother pulled up, had went to the store, pulled back up in front of his house. The NBI guy, Anthony Fox, jumped out and said he saw my brother make a drug transaction. So he went up to my brother's car and he gave my brother a command. So my brother said, Fox, you know me, it's nothing going on, But he gave the girl some change to buy a soda. So he reached in his pocket, gave her some change to buy a soda. So at that time, he kept pushing the issue for my brother to get out the car. So my brother was getting ready. I guess he reached over with the left hand to unbuckle the seatbelt. And by the time he unbuckled the seatbelt, Anthony had hit him in the head with a flashlight several times.
So you hit this man in the head with a flashlight. Now, they gonna say, well, he probably was reaching for a weapon or something of that nature. And that's probably why the lawyer was saying what he was saying. But it's like, you hit this man in the head with a flashlight, though?
Then he hollered out a command. One of his fellow Blue came over and helped him assist my brother out of the car, slammed him to the ground. So at the process of time, the girl that he said he did the transaction with, she done went on. She done went on about her business, not doing anything. They didn't go after her or try to assist her, try to get her. So at that time, they pulled my brother out the car, slammed him to the ground, and they said my brother was scuffling and trying to get something in his mouth, drugs. But after they did all that, they did not find no drugs. They did not find anything in his car. They searched his car, they found nothing. Called the ambulance because they say he had a little stretch. He had a stretch up on top of his head. So the ambulance came. Anthony Fox told them to put a patch up there and they could leave. So that's what they did. They put a patch on his head and they left. After then, they said he resisted arrest. And anytime you resist arrest, you automatically supposed to go to jail. But they field released him. So when they field released him, they wouldn't let him stay at his house. They told him he had to get in his car, he had to leave. At that time, he got in his car and he went to Mustang Inn on Highway 80 where his girlfriend lived. So when he got out the car, he had a slur to him and he stumbled up in the room. Then he had to stumble back out. I guess he left something in the car. And so he started telling his girlfriend that his head was just hurting. His head was hurting, that the police had jumped on him. And Anthony Fox had jumped on him down there in Washington Addition. That's what they call it, Washington Addition on the west side. So at that time, she went down the hall to get something for him to take. And she said when she got back, he was virgin. She called me. I said, call the ambulance. So by the time the ambulance came, they were rushing him to the hospital. By the time I got up there, they was rushing him into surgery. So he stayed in the surgery for 2 days. 2 days later, he died. And what he died was from blunt force trauma to the head, homicide. Went to talk the autopsy with the state. They said blunt force trauma to the head. That was what he died from. Blunt force trauma to the head. Anthony Fox, they convicted, they put all three on manslaughter, second-degree manslaughter. The first two, Faye Peterson, let them out because they said they Couldn't nobody put them at the scene of the crime. This after 2.5 years went by. Said nobody could put them at the scene of the crime. And she let them go with no prejudice.
Wow.
Anthony Fox came up on trial, found him guilty, stayed in jail 1 year and 6 months. Our AG, Lynn Fitch, I have to call her name, Lynn Fitch, overturned, took it to the Supreme Court, overturned the conviction. Let Anthony Fox got out, and they ended up paying him $75,000 for being in jail for unlawfully convicted.
So how long did they sentence him for before they let him out?
They sentenced 20 years, which that was 20 years, but he...
Listen to what this lady just said. They overturned it. So the lady that overturned it, she played a part in all this. She got a part in all this. Not even just this story, the other story with her son, play this back.
Our AG, Lynn Fitch, I have to call her name, Lynn Fitch, overturned, took it to the Supreme Court, overturned the conviction. Let Anthony Fox got out, and they ended up paying him $75,000 for being in jail for unlawfully convicted.
So when they do stuff like that, you know they gotta have somebody backing them to the point where they know they can get away with doing what they're doing. Because ain't nobody just gonna do that and not think about shit. I ain't gonna get away with this. Not thinking about how the consequences gonna end up. Just like when she gonna break down the story with her son. Everybody had a hand in that pot because they was trying to cover up stories.
Well, how long did they sentence him for before they let him out?
They sentenced 20 years, which that was 20 years, but they suspended all of them except 5.
Okay.
He was 5 to be in jail and 5 on paper when he got out.
So he didn't even do the whole 5.
He didn't even do the whole 5. They didn't even let him stay in there for the whole 5. So we still injustice. We still haven't got justice. We still fighting for justice. And I'll always be fighting for justice for George Robinson.
That's both.
And after that, March the 5th, 2023, Dexter Wade got hit by a police cruiser that's supposed to have been off duty. So he hit him on the freeway.
All right, so there you heard Miss Betterstein Wade tell the story of her brother, George Robinson, who was killed by the police. He saw Anthony Fox was convicted, but later the Attorney General, Lynn Fitch,
Police Dexter Wade got hit by a police cruiser that's supposed to have been off duty. So he hit him on the freeway.
All right, so
shout out to Richard Taylor, y'all. Go over there, like, share, subscribe to his page. It's sad to see that people in Mississippi got to go through this type of, how can I put it? Because it's deeper than what people think it is. They got to go through this and live with this, and it's filth. It's filth because, like I said, if they try to tell or go to somebody and say this is what's going on here, it could be retaliation from anybody there. Anybody can retaliate on them. Like, it's sad. It's sad.
Said about the story.
Troy, I'm here at the Jackson Police Department where the family of Dexter Wade rallied outside earlier today. They're still searching for answers and demanding accountability from JPD.
No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace.
It's been almost 2 years since Dexter Wade's death, and his family is still searching for what happened to him. Authorities said Wade was walking near Interstate 55 and McDowell Road in March when he was hit by a Jackson Police Department vehicle. According to police, they were not able to identify Wade at the time of the crash. However, the Hinds County Coroner's Office was able to identify him from medication found in his pocket.
But why was he walking over there? So he had to be off the medication. Had to be. I don't know. That's crazy, though.
Wade's mother, Betterstein Wade Robinson, says there are still many missing pieces of the puzzle.
No justice because we don't even know who or what. So, I mean, somebody hit him. Then no car hit him when nobody hit it. So what we looking for is justice.
And they deserve somebody to step up and give them an answer.
That's right.
All they ask is some justice. How her son ended up in there, doesn't she deserve the answers?
Chief Joseph Wade says he has updated and created new policies within the department to prevent things like this from happening again.
We updated our missing persons policy, which was a 20-year-old policy. We updated it to make sure that we are doing the best practices as it relates to locating missing persons here in the city of Jackson.
How he gonna say that when it's deeper than what he's saying? Your officers got something to do with this. Your whole department probably got some. Your whole department got something to do with it, and probably other counties. That's what I'm saying. This is sad.
Also, for the first time, a death notification policy.
That's very important to me as we move forward. I want us to be effective. I want us to be efficient as we police, and more importantly, as we serve this community.
Wade says they are working with the U.S. Department of Justice to help them revise current policies and police training moving forward. The lawsuit against the Jackson Police Department is still ongoing. I'm live at JPD headquarters. Kennedy Cooper, 16 WAPT.
All right, so there you see the news is gloss over report of the incident, and unfortunately there is a black police chief, ironically with the last name of Wade, almost kind of glossing over it as well. But we're going to let Miss Wade tell you the intricate details of how and what happened to her son, and how it is a once again continued miscarriage of justice.
That's crazy.
March the 5th, 2023. That's when he got hit.
That's when he got hit.
Okay.
March 5th, 2023. That's like 6 blocks from my house, that freeway. Like 6 blocks from my house. So Dexter did not return. Dexter left home on March 5th. I did not hear from him. So about 3 days, my sister-in-law called me and said, it's unusual for Dexter to be gone this long. So I said, well, okay, we'll give him a few more days. March the 14th, I called Jackson Police Department and filed a missing person report. They told me to send them Dexter's picture, his name, and all his information. They got it. They signed me an investigator. The investigator called me and said he would be the one helping me with Dexter Cave. So as I was hearing things, I was telling the detective. So I asked them, I said, have y'all checked the morgue? Have y'all checked the hospital? They said, well, the morgue, he's not in the morgue. But the hospital, we can't go to the hospital because that's a protocol for them. Okay, and then I said, well, did you check anywhere his last seen? I told him who house he was at, the last to seen it. I said, y'all in the boy that he left with. I said, did y'all talk to him? I told him his name and everything. So they said they went over there to see Jordan, but he wasn't at the house that I sent him to. That somebody crazy was out there, and he jumped all up on the police car, and they wasn't going to risk their life. So, okay. Right about 5 or 6 months had went by, and I kept calling back and forth every week, every 2 weeks, trying to see how they found it.
And you have filed a missing person report.
I filed a missing person report. And they kept saying they hadn't found nothing, he ain't in the morgue, no. So then, after then, the guy called me in July, the end of July, and said, I am retiring. Somebody else will handle your case. So, about August the 14th, it's a lady called me named Colin. She said, I will be taking over the investigation for Dexter Wade. She said, Ms. Wade, I'm going to help you find your son. I said, okay. So around about August the 24th, she called me and she said, I found your son. I said, where that boy at? And she said, I sent someone out there to talk to you. She sent an investigator out there to talk to me. And time he said, I am sorry for your loss.
Dang.
My mom, I was so upset. My mom said, could I ask you what happened to him? He said a police cruiser hit him on the freeway and that he was off duty, and he hit him on the freeway. He killed him as an accident. So, okay, I started asking him, well, why y'all didn't take the handprints and all this different stuff? Why y'all didn't put him on civil alert where maybe somebody could have known him? Okay, they wouldn't even put him on civil alert. They wouldn't even do any of that. So the guy said, well, you have to talk to the coroner. He can tell you more. I called the coroner, and I was going off on the coroner. The coroner said, hold it, Miss Wade. We knew who Dexter Wade was the first night we encountered him. So we knew who he was. Said he had a pill bottle in his pocket. He had a pill bottle in his pocket. And that told the identity of him. So we knew who he was. So okay, then I said, well, where he at? They buried him. They buried him on July the 14th. They took him and buried him on July the 14th. After they knew I was looking for him.
On July the 14th.
On July the 14th.
But he got hit.
He got hit on March the 5th.
So where did they keep him for all those
He was in the morgue all this time. He was in the morgue all this time.
Okay.
He was in the morgue all this time. And so July the 14th,
But you see that she's saying he was in the morgue. The whole time, I just showed y'all where they kept his body at. All that time while she looking for her son, he buried back there.
Supervisors of the state, they gave them the permission to bury him in a pauper's grave. And I asked them, I said, well, what graveyard? They said, somewhere down there by Raymond. They could nobody tell me. 2 months went by before I could even find out where he was buried at. So I found and talked to a lady. She said, I asked her, I said, is Dexter Wade is in that grave? She said, yes. And so that's how I found my son. He was in a pauper's grave behind the county jail.
Damn.
And he was 672. Didn't even have his name on the grave.
So they had a number.
They had a number, 672. 672 people was buried in that grave before him. Was down there in that grave. So we don't know how many of them people is illegally buried without anybody knowing, family knowing. So they couldn't go back for 215 for us to identify. And we had a whole bunch to identify. Did a
lot of people come out to identify their loved ones? All in Jackson.
All in Jackson. Well, it's not in Jackson. It's in Raymond, Mississippi, but it's Hinds County.
But
that's where they take you to jail.
But was all the people from that area and had
no,
been missing?
These people was like from Chicago.
Wow.
Was like from Brandon. A lot of them was like from, some people were from out of state. All of them were from Mississippi. Because they had came through Jackson. Some Louisiana, one come from Louisiana, they were just coming through Jackson and
what was happening to them? How were they dying?
These people were just coming through Jackson and ain't no telling. Ain't no telling these cops bothering them and just got aggressive. And man, I don't know. This is sad. This is sad. This is what's going on in Mississippi, but I guarantee you, they gonna stop all the drugs coming through because if they ain't getting none of the proceeds, they ain't trying to, if they ain't getting none of the money, they ain't trying to, we not gonna let that happen. But this right here, I guarantee you, this gonna keep going on down there in Mississippi. I don't care what part, I don't care what county, this is still gonna go on down there because for them to allow. I can't even. She said 600 and some bodies, or was it 7 before her son? And you don't know what was the encounter, how did they end up dying, what the officers did to them, because the officers had to do it. Sad.
That was most of them dying.
Well, see, everybody dropped the ball. Nobody would look for their loved one. After they wouldn't give them no information, I guess everybody just said, well, he just went off. I guess because maybe they had been going off or whatever. But my son don't go off unless he told me.
So how did you find out how your son got hit?
The police officer.
Oh, okay. They told you after before he was found, right?
That's grimy. They told you that they hit your son.
Yeah, I mean, no, they this is after about 6 to 7 months after they had buried him.
Okay.
They came to me and told me, but I think Highway Patrol, I call it Highway Patrol, and that's why they didn't put him on simple alert. So I guess everybody was dead. I was rising, tell, and maybe the words was getting around, so they just had to tell me where my son
So you weren't gonna give up.
I'm not giving up because I'm still looking for him,
Mhm.
So when you study look for your loved one, you're gonna catch somebody, and they gonna start saying, well, hey, this lady is not giving up. So I didn't give up on my son.
Now he was buried, they said, with ID and everything, though.
Yeah,
Is that right?
when we exhumed the body,
Mm-hmm.
after we found out where he was down there behind the county jail, Ben Crump came in and helped me exhume the body and get him a proper grave. And so at that time, they gave him an autopsy, a ground zero paid to get him an autopsy. So when the autopsy did, they found the wallet with his credit card in there, his ID in there, several cards from the hospital was in there. I mean, all this information was in there. Pill ball, he had all this information on him. It was no reason for them to bury my son in a proper grave. Then I had to pay to get his body back because the state owned his body. After they buried him, the state owned the body. So you have to buy the body back.
Now that's petty. I'm telling y'all, it's corrupt down there. I'm telling y'all, if y'all not listening and paying attention.
From them, because I don't have no more legal rights to that body.
So do you think they buried him to try to hide the fact that the police officer ran him over and killed him?
Yeah, I think because I had the first case with my brother, I already had a case. Now, what are they thinking? We done ran over her son, so
Okay.
I'm probably gonna be furious right now. So they not gonna tell me that they killed my son. And only somebody came to the scene of the crime was the wrecker, an investigator in the corner. Anytime you get hit on the freeway, highway patrol, everybody, the ambulance, but then nobody done came forward to say they even saw it on the freeway. So it's still questionable. All of it's still questionable.
So now did the deputy get arrested for it?
No, ain't nobody they haven't did anything to anybody. That's why I'm studying out fighting. That's why I'm studying out trying to put it out here.
What in the hell? So they know who hit the nigga, but they not even doing nothing about it. That's crazy.
So people can know this is wrong. This is wrong.
And this happened in 2023.
2023. We 2025.
About 2 years
2
ago.
years ago.
That's crazy.
So why are they not saying that they charging that deputy? Is that deputy still living? Do they know the deputy's name who
I'm
did it?
assuming they know who did it. I'm assuming they do.
And this happened in Jackson and Hines County.
Jackson, but that's that is the undercover stuff. That is the undercover stuff. They're not gonna tell you that they done killed your child, and then they cover it up. Then they come to you. They can't even come to you and say, "I give you condolence." Nobody from the city have ever came to me and said, "I give you condolence for my brother or my son." I don't get no recognition here.
Wow.
Not none. They didn't even help me get him out the grave. Even they buried him falsely. They didn't even try to help me resume the body and put him in a proper grave. They made me pay for the body.
That's crazy.
But it was because of you, though. That's why all of the other bodies got discovered, though.
Yes. If I would have never found my son down there, nobody else would know their child was in that grave down there.
Wow.
And I always remember 672.
Wow.
My son was 672. There's 672 people out there was in that grave.
That's crazy.
Wow. So this is a deep story, but I thank you for your resilience. I know it's a lot more to the story. We're gonna put this out and hopefully bring you back another time and tell a little bit more. Hopefully by then we'll have somebody fighting for justice. Is there anything else that you want to let the audience know before you go?
I want the audience to know, always get out and vote in your state. Always let your voice be heard, because the officials that we have in these cities and counties needs to be removed.
You heard him. Y'all like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I hear a lot of people saying vote on, your state. Make sure you get the right people in there. But man, people gonna do them. Once people start seeing a different lifestyle and get that money, they change. You see what happened to Tiffany Henyard out there in Dalton? See what she was doing? So it's corruption all over. It ain't just in Mississippi, but they down there doing some heinous stuff in Mississippi. And I really think the FBI need to really look into that. Not just the drugs coming in and out. They really need to look into the officials down there, everything. Because for what happened to her brother and her son, nah. But y'all like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. We will be back. I don't know if we'll be back today, but we will be back. Like I said, hit that like button, man. It's sad out here. Prayers go out to her. Hopefully she get her justice for her brother and her son. Justice for her brother and her son. Yeah. But I'm going to end this one, and I'll probably be back later on with another live. But y'all like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. We the People TV. Go.